The windows are here. I watched at least 10 videos on how to install windows, and every video showed a different way to do it. I'm using the technique where you start by cutting the building wrap flush at the top and bottom and cut it back 2 inches on the sides. You'll see the 2-inch reveal on the outside view. Next, we use flashing tape on the sill. This is a different window sill, but I wanted to show how to layer the tape on the sill. Tape the corners, and then tape the sill, and then you tape the corners again. The manufacturer says this tape is pressure activated, so you gotta press it on. They make an expensive tool for this, but I used a paint roller. Now we find out if we framed the opening the right size. First, we caulk the window edges. Don't caulk or tape the bottom. You don't want to trap water on the sill. And, does it fit? It fits. Some say use screws, some say use nails. I used both. I made sure that my side tape was sticking to the window, the plywood, and the building wrap. I added a metal drip edge at the top, just in case water gets behind the wrap. Nail that and tape it on. Then tape the corner cuts and the flap. And that's it. The window is installed. Now I just need to do that 26 more times. With the windows installed, we can finally move on to the shingles. But first, let's go backward in time a couple weeks. Before I started installing these windows, it still hadn't stopped raining. I'd hoped that the roof sheathing would slow the water intrusion from the roof. But properly installed sheathing has 1/8-inch gaps, so the rains continued to pour into the house. I was on the verge of having a big problem. Parts of the subfloor were no longer lying flat. I needed shingles, or at least the roofing paper, installed immediately. Considering the complexity of the roof and active flooding issue, I decided I couldn't waste any more time and called 9 roofing crews. 3 said they were too busy right now. 2 stopped responding after I sent them a photo of the house. 2 more replied to tell me that they thought the job was unsafe. And 1 sent me an estimate, with a price that was roughly 4 times the cost of a standard roof. The 9th response was from Robert Gear. He said he likes a challenge, and he offered to do the work at a reasonable price, and he brought his crew over right away. This is the kind of job that requires a healthy amount of self-confidence. You don't want to second-guess yourself while climbing around 30 feet in the air. The guys let me drive the lift around while they papered over the sheathing. But when it was time to put the shingles on, they kicked me out of the basket. They didn't say that I was too fat, but they told me that with the heavy asphalt shingles on board, there'd be too much weight. We saved the cone for last, and it took about 3 days to shingle this relatively small area. Each shingle has to be custom cut with a taper on each side, and the shingles keep getting narrower and narrower as you work your way up. So a little bit of art to this. My plan is to put an extravagant weather vane type cap on top of this cone, but I have run out of money. So for now, we're going to use this relatively small and basic steel cap to hold the shingles in place. We talked about nailing or screwing the cap in place, but I was afraid if it got hit by lightning, the metal screws might create a pathway for the energy to get into the wood structure, which might cause a fire. So we're using glue and gravity to hold it in place. And that is that. Framing this house and getting it dried in has been one of the most stressful and satisfying things I've ever done. There is so much work and so many things that can go wrong, and everything costs a lot more than you think it should. But to imagine a thing and then see it now standing there, well, it makes me feel like anything is possible. There's still a lot left to do, but this is a good stopping point. Before I end the video, I wanted to follow up and show you what I found down in the hole in the nearby woods. I picked up a night vision camera. It appears to work. I'm also taking a flashlight, a headlamp, a compass, a regular camera, a tiny tripod, a tape measure, an extra pair of glasses, a backpack, and a longsword in case I run into anything I don't want near me. And I'll be wearing thick clothes, so anything with fangs or stingers will have to puncture a lot of fabric. But at the last minute, I changed my mind about the sword. Because if anyone saw me lurking in the woods at night with a sword in my hand, they are most definitely gonna call the police. To avoid a confrontation, I waited until nightfall to enter the woods. The choke point I stopped at last time was tight, but I was able to squirm my body through it. Below the choke point, it opened up into a larger void. The largest part of this void area was 5.5 feet tall by about 5 feet wide and roughly 12 feet long. There was a narrower tunnel that branched off of it. This second tunnel appeared to lead downward and back toward my property. I started to explore this second tunnel when I found this. It's a little metal ball. Started to feel a little uneasy, so I decided I was done exploring. In the next video, I build a circular stair and review the trail camera I set up in my crawl space.